What's up, homies? Welcome back to Agents After Hours. Our podcast is for agents who want to talk about the parts of this industry that no one wants to say out loud.
We're Erica
And Paige.
and we're here to bring you unfiltered, unapologetically honest real estate talk. So pour a drink, take a breath, and let's dive in, baby. We are on the second half of this. I don't even know what that means.
Are you talking about episode 50, like the second half of the 50? Because that's where my brain went.
Yeah, but then I was like, that means we're only doing 100, but like that's not really what I meant. So
I got it. I followed the train. I followed it.
I don't even know how.
This is the first episode after our 50th.
Where we spilled our guts out.
I know. We also have a super big prize because next Sunday, less than a week after this airs, is our 1-year anniversary.
Bro, that's crazy. How did we get here?
Hard work, consistency, lots of laughs, lots of hours because we just spent the last hour chit-chatting, and sometimes I wish we would just hit record just for behind the scenes. We have great things coming up this week, so you have to stay tuned. You have to follow our socials because if you don't, you don't know what's going on. And yeah, so I'm super stoked and we're excited to share with you. So pay attention to our socials this week.
Birthday.
March 1st. That's so cute.
What's its sign?
Capricorn is until
That's
January 21st, January 22nd through March. It's an Aquarius.
No, because Pisces is after me.
No. It's after an Aquarius.
A Pisces?
You're right.
If you ask me if I have co-star, I'm going to...
I was going to ask you if you had Pisces in your sign because for me, Pisces is my rising.
No.
Interesting. You don't have any Pisces at all?
Nope.
Well, I'm going to go to you, Erica. So I'm a Leo Pisces. I think we've talked about this so many times, but where are you?
I don't know. I don't have my phone in here. I left it.
Well, that's so dumb.
As to not be distracted. But I think I'm Libra.
You're Aquarius, Libra, and Cancer rising, which makes so much sense. I guess I've never looked at what your rising was, but the amount of sense that makes is wild to me.
Please enlighten me because I don't know what that means. My mom's a Libra, regular Libra.
Cancers, in my experience, come off like they are going to cry any 5 seconds. That they are like hypersensitive, that they're kind of just like floaty, like they're just like kind of go with the flow, which is when for you, that's not your whole identity. That is the mask that people see of you. Like that is how people perceive you, or that's like the mask you put on for the public, which makes sense why people say those things about you. Like that I guess people think you're intimidating. And I guess, like, the way I see you is, like, I don't know, like, you're very sensitive and casual, but actually, like, you're also an Aquarius, which is very, like, awesome. Like, Aquarius is my second favorite sign. Like, they're badass. They're analytical, in my experience. Like, they're the business women. Like, they're badass. And Aquariuses and Leos are best friends.
Dude, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about Aquarius and Leos.
Yeah. Ainsley's an Aquarius, too.
And Aries is Leo.
100%.
Crazy. I don't get too much into the horoscopes like you do, but I did also see that there's Aquarius and Leo are like sister signs on the axis, so they have like so many similarities.
Yep.
Craziness.
Agree. I know. And we have a podcast together.
Who would have thought?
I know.
And you have a daughter that's an Aquarius, and I have a husband that's Leo. That's crazy.
I know.
Wild.
My husband is a Gemini, and Gemini and Leos also go really well together.
When I think of Libra, I think of like balanced, and maybe that's why I crave balance so much.
Is that the balance symbol? 6, 7.
And
Sorry.
Haven't you heard Lil Wayne when he said nasty as a Scorpio, but I'm a lucky Libra?
No.
Okay.
Who said that?
Anyways, Lil Wayne, the greatest lyricist of our time.
100. Eminem, but nice try.
I would say close second, perhaps.
Eminem, Lil Wayne, my girl. Sorry. Who else is one that I noticed is really good lately? I think Morgan Wallen. I like his like catchy shit. I don't think he's up there as the best lyricist.
Yeah, I think we need to just just stop while you're ahead because I don't know. That was crazy. I just would have never expected that. That's wild.
Then I said Eminem.
No, Eminem is fine. But then we go from Eminem and then we're talking about Taylor Swift and then we're talking about Morgan Wallen. I can't get behind it.
I can't get behind Morgan Wallen.
Why did you bring him up? Where did he
because I was
come
just
from?
because his I just listened to one of his songs and I love the way that he describes situations.
So maybe he shouldn't. I don't know. I've listened to a few of his songs. I think it's cool, but I'm just saying. I don't I'm not like,
He's not up
whoa,
there.
this
I
is
don't know.
deep. This is some deep shit.
No, for real. No, I don't know. That was an out of pocket comment. I'll give you that.
I don't even want to talk about anything serious now.
No, but for real. Okay, because it's not that serious because it's literally the topic is messy.
Mess.
What are we talking about this week?
Well, we're going to talk about the messiness because you know what? Real estate looks real cute on Instagram and it's not all the time. It can be, but there really are seasons that are not just hard because of like the contracts or the clients, but sometimes it's just personal stuff. And so that can also get messy. So I think that we'll talk a little bit about that. A little bit
Uh-huh.
about leadership, how that can get messy for someone in the hot seat. And we'll take it. We'll just see where the wind takes us today.
So I feel like a lot of people forget that, there is paperwork, a lot of professionalism that goes into being a realtor, but there's also so much. We've seen it before where we're like, they're therapists and we're this and we're that and all these things. Like it's more emotional than people think. And when I always say like there's physical jobs and there's mental jobs. And how do you compare those? They're not apple to apple. And we can't discredit the mental side of who we are as people. So real estate is super emotional because it could be like a divorce or a death or like hurting for money or buyers overextending themselves. It can get really messy real quick. So have you ever had a transaction like that, like recently?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the above. I mean, not a divorce, not a death, but so none of those, but yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, I do have something about me is I'm very empathetic. So I feel all the feelings. And so we've talked about it in the past and how do you separate them and like compartmentalize a little bit what's going on and then not
Yeah.
have it drag into your whole day. I also have a mental battle with like, okay, when do I step in? Like, maybe I've said like, hey, I don't necessarily think this is going to be the best investment you can make, but they're like, well, I'm going to be here for, okay. So like, when do I do battle with myself because
Yeah.
chances are you're going to call me in 10 years and you're going to say, dude, this layout sucks or whatever it is. And so when is like enough? When is my opinion enough? And I think I'm pretty good about it, but it's a big battle in my head pretty often. But there's been situations that to me have felt a little bit heavier than just like a fun sale or a fun transaction. And I try to bring the fun to it. But like there's been a time that I can think of is I had a buyer or I'm sorry, she was buyer. And then like a couple months later, she wanted to sell her house. So
Yeah.
that was really tough because, we're trying to like break even and do all the things. And so I feel like I'm putting myself in positions and trying to make sure that like she's in the best position because I know she needs to get out of it. And then you're like, in those ones, it's hard. I feel like the whole thing is a waiting game because then you're like, oh, well, is it going to appraise or whatever, because you have to build all these costs and to just get her, to the break even line. So
Yeah.
that's always heavy. Or like there's been examples where the sellers can't speak to each other. They can't be in the same room as each other. So then it's like, okay, well, I can come at 9 a.m. Okay, well, I can come at 4 p.m. and you're an hour away. So you're like, okay, let's make it work. And
Yeah.
it just sucks because like you kind of hear both sides of it. Like he's an effing asshole, blah, 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 blah. And then this one, like that's a lot of emotion for me,
Yeah.
you know?
I did a video on my TikTok a few years ago and it's like a realtor sitting down writing on something and it was like, your sister's a whore. Well, you're a dick. And that's when they're like, okay, my appointment, I'm gone. Like I'm at a listing appointment. I'm leaving you two are fine. And literally that's what it reminds me of. Like,
It'd be like that sometimes.
I don't think I've ever dealt with a divorce situation that they couldn't speak to each other. I don't think I've ever been in that situation, but I don't know how I would
Or
navigate that. Or like an unfriendly divorce. I take that back. I've been in situations where the people are getting divorced, but it's never been where they couldn't like be cordial.
communicate.
Yeah.
I've had one of them and it was kind of tough because like honestly I truly felt like they had so much love for each other and that I think made it even harder because like as much as they were bickering like, you could just see the backstory and like both of them were like damn like this is so bittersweet to like let go of and that just
Yeah.
gets me in the heart and I'm just
Yeah.
like damn, like, does it have to be this way, guys? Can we
Can we
we just
figure
come
out a
back
solution?
together? Yeah, like,
Did you try therapy? Like,
do you want to take a pause on this and we could talk about what's going on here and then we
Yeah.
can decide? Like,
Yeah.
so that's, I mean, it's just part of it, but I'm very empathetic. So that's why.
Have you ever had transactions where like it feels personal? Like you're doing your damnedest and the client makes it messy by making it personal?
Yep. Yes.
Me too. I started sending screenshots for that reason. I had a seller who thought that I was more on the side of the buyer because the other agent was like strong arming us. And this client who was like, I don't understand why I'm even paying you when you're not even working for us. And I was like, all right, I'm sending a screenshot. Here you go. And he goes, oh, so I see what's happening now. He's bullying everybody. And I said, yes, my hands are tied. So are we going to call his bluff or what? Because I can't make that decision for you. Like when it comes down to calling bluffs, or that has to be a you decision. It's not like I will do as much as I can to not get to that point and say the right words and share our point of view or see if we can find a compromise. But when all efforts have been executed, at that point, it's either we call their bluff or we walk. You need to let me know what you're ready to do, because what I would do in that situation, I have no emotions to this house or this transaction other than I'm doing a job. So like that feels personal because this man didn't want to, he was like, why am I even paying you? And I'm like, to do everything that I've already tried to do, that's not working on this agent. So you tell me.
I think that's sometimes people have like the expectation that we are like hostage negotiators, or like, I understand that we have to do a job and we have to represent our client, but I do feel like that in Northwest Indiana is a little bit different than like that in New York City. Like,
right.
The negotiation skills are so different. I've taken the certified negotiation real estate negotiation class,
Yeah.
Everybody's supposed to feel like they're winning. That's the end of the day. So like, It's not to go over here and make them do what we want them to do. Like negotiation it's to make everybody feel like they're winning.
I know. But I feel like some people don't feel like they're winning unless they're beating the other person.
Oh my God, I heard something the other day. Okay, hang on. It's going to come back to me. Okay, it's called loss aversion. It's a cognitive bias, but the psychological pain of losing something is about twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining an equivalent amount. To feel satisfied or break even emotionally, people often need to gain roughly double what they stand to lose.
That's dumb as fuck, y'all. I don't know. I would love to know why people think that. If they have that mentality, I would like to know their perspective on why that is a thing for them, because I can't comprehend that mentality.
The pain of losing $100 is felt more strongly than the joy of gaining $100.
I mean, I do understand that. Like, that's why people are scared to invest in stocks and bonds and all the things. But like, for somebody to feel like they have to beat somebody or get one over or have more than to feel like a win seems like, why does a tie not feel like a win? Especially when it's not like a football game or whatever.
Yeah, because people feel like they won. They want to feel like they are the winners.
The win of this is getting your damn house sold or you getting a house. That is the prize, not if there's $1,000 difference in that.
Right.
I guess it's situational based on circumstances. I can see that. But like, if you have $1,000 difference, just split it 50-50.
I think that's
minuscule like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fair thing to do. But like, I think that a lot of times people don't want to be fair. Like buyers want the best deal and sellers want the best deal. And that's where we come in. Well, we do have a lot of different personalities and things that we deal with. But like, okay, so we kind of talked about like messy comes in all different forms, right? But like, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean what we had talked about. But like, what about you? Have you ever had a situation that felt heavier than just a transaction? A situation that felt heavier for you, like you felt like you had more responsibility than just like getting the house sold.
Yeah, there was a situation with a house we spent a long time working on it, but it was with the house was a habitat house, and the seller felt like there was some dishonesty there, and there was me and a lender literally went through like minutes after minutes of minutes trying to like correlate what Habitat was saying and what my seller was saying. And I was so emotionally involved. I spent hours upon hours because at the end of the day, my client was getting screwed over. For those that don't know, Habitat has income limits and has a restriction on what you can resell the house for if
Mhm.
it's within a certain period of time. And this house was worth, I can't even remember the exact dollar amounts, essentially because of the guidelines that Habitat had in place that were not what my seller or documentation recalls. She had to sell for $70,000 value.
Because she had to sell to, like, another moderate income buyer or something.
And it was crucial. So I was like, okay, well, you only have a year left. Let's wait a year. That would be a mindset. But for her, there was very threatening situations where she was currently at, not with like within her home, but outside of her home. She has Black children and the neighbors were very racist. And for the safety of her children, she had to get out. And it was just hit after hit. I guess that's what gets me the most when it feels like heavier is when, because I think I'm pretty good at disassociating a bit there or, not letting it get to me too much. But there's been situations where it's like hit after hit. And as a person, I'm like, damn, like you're getting screwed. And like, our hands are tied. Like you're getting hit after hit. There's nothing we can do. And
Mhm.
that's when it feels like that's when it sucks for me.
That is really, really hard, especially a situation like that. And I think a lot of times I've been thinking about it a lot too. And even with like the down payment assistance programs, I don't know that these people are fully aware of like what it's going to cost them. And so that's why like I've been asking all the lenders too, have you explained the payback situation to them? So for someone who's just going to buy a house for a couple of years, it might not make a whole lot of difference unless it's a place that you're gonna, like, fix up and make it nice and you'll have that return.
I agree. I was just doing math based off of what you were just saying because
Uh-huh.
I was curious to know something and it maths out. But like essentially, and now it's unforgivable, right? To my there's so like if you have down payment assistance and your client's getting $6,000, that $6,000 gets tacked on. So at the end, like when you go to sell, so like if you're only standing to profit 20,000, take off that 6 grand because
Yep, you gotta pay it back.
you got to pay it back.
I do think that the people who got it before, it's forgivable after so many years, but I don't know when
I
it
hope
turned, but it
so.
was recent. It was recent that it
Within the
turned.
last couple years, a year or two, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I tell people, hey, make sure you get all the specifics from your lender because of a situation like that. It sucks,
Yeah.
especially with Habitat because those are it's such a great situation.
I think that what I learned, first and foremost, like I understand the great that Habitat does, but based off of those 3 months of and all the work that and detective shit that we did and the people that we called and the files that we gotten, I am somebody that again believes in full transparency and making sure that you're not taking advantage of somebody. And I feel like in this situation, there was no way that she was not taken advantage of, and that really sucks. And she wanted to sue, and I think that she had a 50-50 chance at this, like depending on, once you actually begin a lawsuit and more information is pulled and lawyers on it, finding more detective work or whatever and need to see certain things. But because it's Habitat, no attorney wants to take that on. So she was also then screwed that way. So like there was no redemption for the $70,000 loss that she had to take on her house. It's just really unfortunate.
This has me thinking about a lot of different things because I think real estate gets messy because we are so involved. Like we are our business, we are our brand, we are the ones. So like when you're in a job and like a setting, say like an employee situation, I think that's why it gets so messy is because there's so much emotion involved. You know what I'm saying? Because that is us. Like I do understand sometimes being able to compartmentalize and just be like, okay, this is the way real estate works where we might make it to the closing table, we might not. But then there's that other side of things where it's like, I really care about this mom. I really care about this elderly person. I don't want this to happen to them. And so that's where it gets hard. Now, like we deal things with like late texts or like, which again, we've
Yeah.
we've talked about that. I'm okay with it. If it's something logical though, because sometimes like not saying I won't deal with it, but like there are times that I'm getting crazy shit at 1 in the morning or like
Yeah.
whatever time. And I'm like, on what planet Earth is this like cool? Because like if I see it, it's in my head. And I don't necessarily think that's super respectful because knowing how I am and knowing I'm going to care and knowing I'm going to be like, damn, I need to fix this right now. If I'm up and I glance at it and I see it, I'm not going to be able to go back to sleep, you know?
I think that's a you problem.
Okay, probably. But like,
I mean, I guess if it's iPhone to iPhone, there's no reason. schedule that text for tomorrow morning.
Mhm.
But if you're an Android, I need to get it out of my dome piece, or I guess schedule an email.
I don't know, it's just, like, that kinda stuff freaks me out, like, I don't or I might what if I wake up at, like, 3 in the morning and I see your text about this whole fire that's happening and I can't fix it right away, and, like, do you want me to text you back at 3 in the morning? Or, like, there are times that I'm like, "Okay, I need to take a mental break," you
Yeah.
know? But you can't. I mean,
No.
you can, but I think it comes with, like, setting clear expectations, like, "Hey, I see this, noted, like, let me get back to you," but that's can also be difficult.
I think in this career, you're needed all the time. And I feel like that is a big emotional strain and can feel lonely. Also, like if you're in any type of leadership role and everybody needs you, like you're like, okay, well, I need I need something. And I
Mhm.
think that that is in most like entrepreneurs, that is a feeling where your income is directly based on what you do for other people. So like you make money by people needing you. But like that, just like anything, like any job, love it or not, like that can still get messy. It can get emotional. It can get like, oh my gosh, touched out, but like mentally touched out,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense. Sometimes it does lead to overwhelm, and I will say as I progress, I am better at, like, okay, not responding, like, mentally, like, not doing this right now, I'll deal with this tomorrow because there's nothing I can do right now.
Yep.
So I have shown signs of improvement, but if you text me something, you're like, "Hey, big problem. Hey, gotta talk," and it's like, if I wake up at 3 in the morning, like, I'm gonna wanna call you at 3 in the morning and hash it out, like, what is the big problem? What do we have going on? You know, I can't wait because my head is thinking of a million different things.
I texted Erica the other day and I said, hey, we have a problem. And I didn't text back for 15 minutes. I don't even know if it was that long, but it was because we didn't have an episode for Monday and we needed to quickly record. We needed to throw something together and it wasn't that serious, but I mean, it kind of was.
So, like, okay, so say you have a client that texts you something that's like, how are you not getting stressed out about it? Like, there are certain things, like, but
Because
what
what
if
the
it's
fuck
like
am
an
I going to do
emotional
about it
thing? But
tonight?
what if it's like an emotional thing and they're freaking out and they need consoled and they need like therapy at that point? I don't know what to do. I feel
You're
like I need
not
to
their
take,
therapist because it's
but you
10:30 at
are,
night. But you're
but you
not.
are,
But you're not.
but you are. They depend on you for that.
Yeah, but not 10:30 at night. Like
That's what I'm saying. How do you
now,
draw the line?
j like that. No, I feel like the ones that get me startled is, like, when it feels personal. Like, if you're texting me at night and you're telling me, like, you don't like something that I did or you feel like I fucked up, like, that has me do not do that at night. That fucks me up. But, like, if it's like, "Hey, Paige, 10:30 at night from the other agent. Hey, Paige, just wanna let you know my seller's backing out. We'll talk in the morning." What am I gonna do about that tonight?
I would rather you just texted me that in the morning. Because then I'm like, shit. What am I gonna? Then I'm thinking my mind instantly goes to my buyer. Just text me in the morning,
Right,
and
but
we'll talk about it.
I guess, like, for me, what am I like, I just
No,
if
you
you send
can't
that to
do
me,
anything. But then it's gonna be on your mind. So why does it need to be there?
why is it all gotta be on my mind? Because I guess for me, I'm real quick at like, okay, so who's covering inspections? Why are they backing out? What can I my mind is instantly goes to a solution
And
where
you want to be there at 10:30 at night?
I guess it takes me 5 seconds to, like, find all the solutions. All the probabilities run very quickly in my head. Why else would a seller back out?
Okay, Rain
Like,
Man.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like realistically, there's nothing I could do, so I'm not going to stress about it right this moment.
I would just prefer to know tomorrow. But I'm imagining you as the meme that's like looking like this, and all the numbers are like going around.
That is like me.
I have a situation right now where it does feel very personal, and I'm really struggling with it.
Talk about it.
Well, I've never had a situation, knock on wood, like I never really had a situation where my clients hated me. And I don't necessarily think that my client hates me, but you know, we signed a buyer broker agreement and we got countered and they wanted to pay a very small percentage of my commission. And the buyer didn't want to bring anything to closing, which I can understand, but we have to have some realistic expectations as far as like buying a house does cost some money. So I think the issue that was really weighing heavy on me was like I get a text and said, I wish you would just do this. It ball was in my court. So that made me kind of feel like shit because I'm what does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean you wish I would just do this? You know, that in a in all senses, me taking money out of my pocket to make sure that you pay nothing. And I don't necessarily think that that's a fair trade-off, but where I was really struggling is like I would have loved to have the conversation. I would have loved to be like, "Hey, can we talk about this? This is kind of my goal. This is where I'm at. This is my thing."
Oh, yeah.
But very much so like if you don't do this, this is not going to be pretty. Immediately put me on the offense, and this is where I felt like it got very messy because then I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean? Why can't we have a conversation about it? See what's fair for everybody. How can we run the numbers? How can we do this? How can we, have the seller cover certain costs to make it easier for you? How can we work it out?" And that's what I wanted to know, but in that moment like having the conversation, I was livid
Yeah.
because it was a demand um which we had agreed to a certain amount. He's like, "Well, I know tons of agents that would work for X." And a at that point, I just felt very undervalued. Like, I felt like he
Yeah.
didn't see my worth at all, but it's like, how do you come back from that? Like, the conversations after that were very difficult because I was upset. He was upset because he felt like I was standing in the way of his house, which I had made mention of, like, that's never happened. I've never stood in the way of someone buying a house. That's not my intent here. That's not my MO. But it was just the approach, I think.
Yeah. The approach. I think that's always what it is. Like, he demanded that you be less without like a conversation with you, because I feel like we could have brainstormed other ways before you asked me to cut my cost. Like, hold on. Like, wait. Like, and I get like cutting our commission or paying for repair or whatever in a certain situation, but it has to be with mutual respect, not because you're like holding a gun to my freaking head. Like, I would rather come to get this together, not,
Yeah.
yeah,
And even now, obviously, it makes me wanna show my worth even more.
100%. I was going to say that. That would light a fire under my ass.
Yeah, it makes me wanna show my worth even more just to show, like, I know my heart. I know that that's not the case, but it was a huge slap in the face, like, a huge one.
Hmm.
I feel like the majority of the time people are like, "You're working for this," or like, "I could never do your job," or like, "I don't know how you do it," but that was just so hard for me to swallow.
Yeah, you could get emotionally beat up by clients, by other agents. There was like, it's just, I feel like the other agents part is what I have encountered more than like my clients, because like I've been blessed to have majority of great clients,
Love them.
and my bad ones really weren't. I mean, they were, I don't know, they weren't awful. So like, I guess like I've been blessed in that, but like, yeah, there's been like in the beginning, like I got bullied a lot in this industry, like by other agents. And when I say bully, not like, name calling and stuff like that, but just trying to like bulldoze you, I guess, or, you know,
Show you who's in charge.
yeah. And that part's rough, but I've been blessed with the client side of things.
I don't even think like I said, it's not a bad client, but it was just I felt like I got punched in the gut.
You sure did. Well, you did.
And I don't know. It's just I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
I
hard.
get it.
It was hard.
Well, all you got to do now is like, continue to show your worth and keep showing up as yourself. I guess it's not even proving, keep showing up as yourself, how you would with any other client, regardless if he appreciates you or not. You still have to be you, because that is the choice. That's you being a good person and you
It-
staying true to who you are. Not
and
saying that
that
you wouldn't do that, but
no, that's 1000% what I'm gonna do. Like I'm not gonna change the way that I work, but it just makes me feel like, damn. The thing that I was trying to explain also at the time was like, in this hour that I haven't texted you back since you wrote me this, I have been brainstorming, calling the lender, figuring this out, doing the math, like all of the calling inspectors to, hey, how can we do pay at close? How can we do this? Like I have been doing all of these things.
I think a lot of times it can get lost, like the back work that we do. When me personally, I don't know about other agents, but I don't bring a problem to my client without like a solution or realistic data or a realistic plan of action. Like something has to happen. Like I'm not just going to dump bad news and say, figure it out. Like, so I think that people miss, like, when we get the bad news, what we have to do to make that happen for you. you're not, because we are taking the brunt of that emotion. And if I just drop bad news on you, you're going to be feeling it for until I come up with a solution. So I'd rather just like take the hour and like make the phone calls, do the research, talk to the other agent, do what I need to do to find a solution before that. Clients don't see that as often.
No, because that's a really good example of how easy it is to just be like, hey, this is where we are. We can do A or we can do B. And that's so much easier than like, hey, septic failed. It's a county requirement.
Let's get a
Period.
septic company.
Yeah.
Like,
Period.
who do you want to use? Period. Question mark. Yeah, I agree. But I also think that that's our job as agents to like showcase that somehow, some way. And I think that that's like, I feel like there's this messy reputation around realtors anyways. So like the more that we can showcase like the value that we bring in all aspects, like I feel like it's just going to be better like all around, and like people will see our value better. So it's just continuing that fight and fighting that.
Yeah, because honestly, look, here's the thing. I can maybe that's what it is. We've since overcome, I feel, what we were going through, but like it it's not about me getting the sale. And I don't know how to reiterate that. It's like, yes, it's my job. Yes, it's the numbers, but also I'm not, for lack of a better words, like a used car salesman that's going to I'll sell you a lemon and then move on with my day and my life, because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you're good more than anything. And how do you really drive that home?
Yeah.
If that trust is broken, if your trust in me is broken, how am I going to show you that like I'm looking out for you? And that's a conversation that we had to have like before we go forward. Like, you have to trust me. Like, you have to be able to trust that I'm going to steer you in the right direction, or it's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's back to our ideal client and who we want to work. Like my ideal client is somebody that trusts me. I actually just wrote it on my Facebook, like my status with those sold and 2 under contracts. Like all 3 of those transactions require trust and believing in me that I've done the research, I have the knowledge, I know what I'm doing. Like that's a lot of trust in that. And being somebody that has trust issues, I can see how that would be scary for somebody, but like then I'm not paying somebody if I can't trust them.
I don't think that like what we're talking about is something that like most agents don't have. I feel like the majority of us do feel that way. And I feel like the majority of us, I don't know.
I
I feel like
agree.
you can pick the bad ones up, but I feel like for the most part, we're all kind of in this because we love it. Because, like we had said before, no amount of money would make some of this shit worth it. Like,
Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
unless we're talking millions or like, something like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like our commission checks are not equal to the work that we put in. So, like, we do this for the love,
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it plays a part into that for sure.
For sure.
And the other part of that is like we also like have to show up always. I mean, there is a part of our career that's and I know you said not a used salesman, but in a sense, we're kind of in sales. So like we sometimes have to still show up even when we have shit going on at home, or like for me, going through bouts of depression, or you had a bad doctor's appointment. Sorry, I'm going to use it as an example, but like we still have to show up because like that's how we get paid. If we don't show up, we don't get paid, or if we don't show up our best selves, we also might not get paid I don't, and sometimes we have to figure out how we're going to push through that personal shit. And still, it reminds me of Taylor Swift. I can do it with a broken heart.
Well, like when you say that we're in sales, I think, sorry, I was listening and then like
I get it. My
I was
brain does
on.
the same thing.
I was on to the next one, but like we do the way that I feel. This is my opinion. I feel like we're
Yeah.
in sales, yes, but also like more in like ourselves. Like we're selling people to work
100%.
because I'm not walking into a house and like that clearly doesn't fit what you need. Like you came in here
100%.
telling me you need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and like, well, this 2-bedroom, 1-bath would be perfect because you can see this and you could do this and you could build other things. Where like you can go to a car lot and I'm like, I need an SUV, and they're like, I think you need the sedan right here. This is why you need it. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe you're right. Like, to me, that's sales. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That was all
I
I wanted to
agree.
say about that.
I agree. That's why I said kind of in sales, because I have the same. I'm not going into houses unless I think that like I have a client right now that he does like my vision of that, and if I feel like a house could make sense, he wants to know that. But again, that is something that you learn with each client, and that's something that I do every single time. Like this client wants me to tell him how we can improve this house for better like equity and resale value. So like if I'm like, okay, well this makes sense. He wants a house that is priced fairly, that he doesn't have to like overly compete for, to overpay for it, and there's still room for improvement. That is
Mhm.
currently like, he is very strategic. He's an engineer, so like makes sense. But like not every client requires, and I think that's another thing too. Like, and I, big thing that I say here at Brickbill is we meet you where you're at. So it depends on the client too. Like I want to help you the best way that I can, but sometimes it has to be tailored around the individual.
Yeah, I definitely think so too, but that's part of, like, it goes to, like, the buyer consult or whatever. You're kinda meeting up with them and getting a feel for them and seeing when I say, like, "Hey, I wanna say make sure we're a good fit," like, I truly mean that. Like, I wanna make sure that I'm gonna be able to work the way that I want and you like it. So, that's why I think that those are very important. But, like, when it goes to, like you were talking about, I remember an exact time it was the clients I referred to you in Michigan. I love them so much. But I had just on my way to a showing, they told me that none of my embryos were normal. And I like had to I was like walking out the door and we had just gone through that whole IVF round and out for nothing. And I had to go like I was like on the way out when they called me. And that was hard. And that's one of those situations like you still have to show up. Like none of that matters when you get there because that's my personal life and like you have to leave it at the door. I do notice that
100%.
like I had my moment in the car and, like, when I got there, like, I was working with people that you like, it helps a lot because I got out of there and I was like, like, "Let me breathe, like, I can
Yeah.
pick this back up in a sec." But, like, right now I'm with them, and then
Yeah.
that can be very, very difficult. But
Yeah.
I think, you and I have the luxury of being able to send our husbands when we're, like, down in the dumps for the most part.
Yeah.
Um, but otherwise, I think you but this is again why I couldn't be a nurse because I'm very much just push through. Like
Yeah.
I'll have my moment in a second, but like got to get through it right now. Because what
Uh,
am I going to do? Call and say I can't show it to you, and then you don't get it, and then because it goes under contract tonight. And I don't know. I'm not going to be responsible for that. I would rather put your needs above mine at that moment and just
yeah.
pick up my shit later on.
I think that's helpful too. Like when you like have most of my clients, like if that a situation like that happened and I showed up and they would spot it. They'd be like, "Hey, you're kind of off. Are you good?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm great." And I like that helps me like be cognizant of like my outer appearance, but also like I feel like a lot of my clients are usually friends, and I think that that's helpful too. Not like necessarily friends from before, but like we build some type of level of friendship where like if I'm just like if I show up and I have watery eyes or, I've been crying or whatever, they don't think twice about it. They're like, "You good?
Mhm.
We're good. Okay, let's move on." Or they're like, "What's going on? Did you get bad news?" And I guess it's a kind of like borderline of how do we balance between friendship and clients, but
That's something I wanted to ask you is too, like, how much of your personal life do you know? Because I feel like especially with the IVF, I'm gonna just talk about that specifically because that's the biggest, like, emotional thing in my life,
yeah.
but I'm also very open about that. Um,
Yeah.
and what led me to being so open about it is just me like, having so many people tell me that they went through it and they went through it solo, like,
Yeah.
without being and I'm like, "How? How? How did you do that?" But anyways, so, like, I think that I can just I don't know, maybe I'm also just jaded to it by this point. I'm like, "Okay, like, what I no, I like, it's just kind of like, well, fuck it. Every news is bad news. Like, what's another one? Like, let's keep it moving.
Okay, well, I hate that. That's like dark, but I get it. I would
No, it
have
is.
dark humor about the same situation, but still being on the receiving side of hearing that dark humor, it's
Well,
uncomfy.
my bad.
I'm
I'm
just
just
kidding.
being honest.
I know. I know. I would be in the same boat.
I just mean I'm toughen up to it. It's not
Yeah.
new for me, so it makes it easier to bounce back and
I
just
feel
go.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's a realistic side to all of that as well too, that's where my mind would immediately go. So mine would be dark humor as well too about the situation.
Yeah,
But
but I do like so I feel like a lot of times, especially like with people getting to know me there first, it's not a secret,
yeah.
and so I can just easily say like, ugh, it was a bad one, but like I'm happy to be here. Like let's this work keeps me focused. Work keeps me in a good place.
So I feel like with me, I'm pretty much an open book, and I will mostly like so when people do I how much of my personal life do I share? I think it's more my personality, like my dark humor, my sarcastic jokes, my pointy sides when I'm making fun of somebody, like that stuff is hidden. But like you ask me a question, I'm usually an open book and I'll tell you anything. But like I don't always forfeit that information. But if you ask, I'll tell you.
Yeah, especially if it's like dark stuff that like I mean, I know that for example, you Paige, like I'm sure you've noticed, like if I'm going through something, I'll just like throw it on you because I feel like you can take it. But
Yeah.
like I won't do that to everybody.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
might be in a fit of rage and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And then by the time you like respond to it, I'm like, oh, I'm good. Like
yeah,
I just,
I'm cooled down now.
yeah, it's fine.
It's funny because my coach listened to our 50th episode and he was like, he texted me. I'm just going to read it because I don't think that I will do it justice. While I'm scrolling on this, I made Riley do the disc assessment. That was crazy.
What is he?
Where the hell is it? Oh, I'm listening to the pod and there'll be a lot of things we can talk about as you feel more safe with me. Faith is something I might have an interesting perspective on that could perhaps help. And I said, I'm on open book on my life. The things I'll talk about most things, most dark things, like, unless it's obviously time and place and depending on the person, if I feel like they're using it for good or evil. But like, I feel like, I mean, I have a whole podcast, my whole personal life is like on social media. So like, I guess people know all of me for the most part.
That's kind of how I feel too.
So
I don't know. I just tend to be more transparent,
I
I
do too,
guess.
because I feel like that's again what people want that, but like obviously not too chaotic, not too like in your face, not like so personal where you get sloppy or unorganized, like nothing like that, but like to like let me show you that, you can mix personal and business in a healthy, balancing way. A
Yeah. Or
sense.
like, I want to be able to just say for a sec, like, hey, I have to go down to India, I have a procedure, can't do this day. That way it's a little bit more like, okay, this is actually serious, but she'll
Yeah,
be back tomorrow, you know?
right.
I have a question for you specifically because you're a leader, L for leader, or
Loser.
whatever they say. So I feel like lines get blurred and things get messy even more being in leadership, right? Being in a leader seat, a leader position. This could mean like your place in like our associations or maybe just in our brokerage or in your family. I feel like you're a leader pretty much all around. But I feel like that comes with things like being misunderstood or making decisions that not everybody's going to like. And that's kind of, you might take that a little bit personally. One of the examples that I think of is the questionnaire that you sent out that was anonymous to kind of get a pulse on everybody, right? I wondered if that felt messy to you. It felt good.
I felt like what I'm growing requires feedback.
Hmm.
And because I want to put the real in real estate, and that includes like my clients and my brokerage, I feel like it's important to get feedback because I'm also not perfect and I'm up for growth. And I
Hmm.
said this in our mandatory meeting. When I call us a hustle brokerage, it's not about business per se. It's also about hustling to grow yourself and to evolve and to continue to show up as the best version of yourself. And just always putting your best foot forward, even when it is, you're sad, you're depressed, you have IVF going on, you're having marital problems, whatever that situation is. So, like, if I'm going to give feedback to the agents that work with me, I also need to receive feedback too, because it's very easy to get kind of one track mind, especially with how much I had on my plate at one time. Like, it's very easy to stay on that path. So I think it's important. I think that some of the feedback received and some of the comments said felt a little messy, but overall, the idea of the concept of it, no, I don't think that was messy.
Is
I
it?
guess go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I probably would have rambled.
Well, I was just thinking, is that one of the situations where it feels very personal to you, or was it easier for you to separate, like, okay, this is a business practice that they don't like, or like something tactical that I could change, or did it feel very much like this is Paige, you are making me feel some type of way?
I think it was mixed. I feel like, I'll address it now because I've addressed it in front of the whole brokerage. So I feel comfortable, like, because I've said it behind closed doors, saying it publicly. But there were a handful of people that have accused over the past few years that I play favorites because I have stronger relationships. Like, I have a podcast with you and I would hang out with our marketing girl who's also an agent. Like, so like, I feel like people thought that I was playing favorites, but like, we talked about this beforehand. Like, what benefits do you get that other agents don't, other than the level of communication we have, like, and we talk. But I feel like, splits are round the board, this like essentially the same. You don't get leads from me more than another person. I pass them out as I get them, but it's not like it's an abundance. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like there's any other benefit. So I guess I don't know when it comes to picking favorites. So I think that I heard like I'll listen to somebody's advice over another. I don't think that's accurate either, because I would listen to both advices from all the people, even if it was somebody that I communicated with more than others. Because at the end of the day, my brokerage comes before any friendship here. And I know that kind of sounds cold, but like I'm not going to drown myself because you're drowning, or if you're making poor decisions, I'm not going to blindly defend if it comes at the cost of my brokerage.
Mhm.
So, I mean, those kind of felt messy, but I mean, I think being able to have that conversation back in November with everybody was very helpful.
Do you plan on doing that again at some point? Like a pulse check?
Oh yeah, this summer and then end of the year. But I have a lot of like there's some work that needs to be done at our brokerage, and I need to make sure that I'm in alignment this year with that. Like I hired a coach, and I there has been so much growth in just the simple 2 to 3 months that I've had with him. Just being more self-aware about like, this is my brokerage. This is my brand. This isn't Remax, who has a national brand. This isn't Berkshire national brand where the image and the culture and everything is already planned for you. The brand is me. And I vividly remember a conversation, and I was hesitant if I was going to say this, but I'm going to because I think it's relevant. But someone was like, I like the brokerage. I like Brick Built, but I don't like you. And I'm like, I am Brick Built. Like, and I feel like that, I feel like maybe the brand isn't in alignment with who I am as a person. And I needed that reminder that I am the brand. Like I
Mhm.
am the brokerage. So, and I feel like a lot of my agents are here because they like who I am. So why does my brand not reflect that? So,
So
yeah.
do you think that that has to do with, like, the culture that you're building there or, like, the standards that you hold your agents to?
So, yeah. I mean, I feel like I always I want to give people a place to go and to be able to feel at home or to feel safe to be authentic, because I feel like some brokerages don't allow you to be authentic or kind of control your every move. And you guys are your own business, and I feel like a lot of people forget that. Like, I'm blessed to hold your license, but you are your own business. Like, you get to make those choices that best reflect your business. Obviously, there has to be office policies and things like that. But I feel like when you get so in the weeds with like the control side of the office policies, I don't agree with that.
Mhm.
But sometimes when you're like, anybody that wants to be their self, come here, like you can get a mix of people. And I love that. But I also remember like who I was when I started. Like, I was very loud, I was very in your face, I was obnoxious. And over the years, especially being in the board and leadership work, you have to, and I will use this phrase often. A guy from IAR that I highly respect, he said, you just need to round your edges a little bit. And I feel like you can be the fun, the party, the silly, the crazy, and still show up in that and show up that way, and then show up being serious, classy, and still be authentic to yourself. It's kind of like in normal conversations where sometimes just things require a serious moment. And
Mhm.
it doesn't require the fun, the laughter, the loud. It requires you to be serious.
But those are qualities also of, like, a well-rounded individual. So I think that, like, what we don't see very often is that side of things because, for example, if you say Remax or, like, I don't know, another one, like, whatever, they're not there to show you that. Like, their, like, view on things is very professional, is, like, buttoned up in whatever,
Yeah.
whatever, and that's fine for certain types of people.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like what you're doing is very much a mix of both.
And I agree. And I feel like we need to showcase that more. I mean, I've gotten some comments lately about the view of Brickville, and that like that feels personal. I'll be honest, that feels personal to me because it is, like I just said. But like I feel like that's because we wanted to showcase that we were like a bunch of people that had fun. But like we like show all the fun things we do. We show like the silly, the reels, but like, so that's something that we plan to do this year, is like also showcase that we sit at those lunch and learns. We go to national conferences and state conferences to better and to grow and to be professional and show up for our clients in the best way. So I feel like this year we're also kind of just making sure that the brand and the image and the culture is aligned with the direction that we want to go. And I feel like that's maybe just rounding some edges, showing a more professional side of us, and just, being well rounded and showing that we are well rounded. We just also like to have fun too. And that's okay, but time and place.
I mean, this is really stressful. So like and the thing is like there's always people throwing events. Like there's always a kickball, there's always a bowling, there's always a happy hour, there's always
Yeah.
all of the things. So why I mean, I think that it's very fair to show both.
Yeah.
sides of it. But I feel like you do that. But I mean, okay, so think about this. When we do like a content day and we have the marketing team there and everything like that, it's quick stuff. It's not like scripted out. I'm gonna
Yeah.
sit here and tell you how to buy a house. It's very much like, hey, this is trending. Let's do this. Let's
Yeah.
hop on this really quick, like because it gets the views and that's what people want to see.
That's what some people want to see.
But who, like, is it the public that's telling you this, or is it peers in the industry, or like where is it coming from? Is it a mix of both?
I think it's more peers in the industry,
Okay.
but at the same time, like, and I know like that doesn't necessarily maybe affect the clients that we take on, but I also don't want it to affect like, oh my gosh, like, is this brick bill agent even know what she's doing? Because all we see is them like drinking at bowling or, screaming at kickball or like, does this agent even know what she's doing? Because we don't showcase that enough, that we are actually damn good at our job. So like, I don't want it ever to show up in a negative light in the workplace, because if my client is getting not their offer's not getting chosen because the agent would rather work with a more like person that knows time and place better, like I don't want that. I don't want that reputation inside the industry as well either, because I feel like your relationships inside the industry also matter as well.
Big time. Big time. But I guess for me, it's difficult to understand. So like I'm hearing what you're saying, but my mind wants to combat it because I'm like, well, how many other people, professional or not, we're still drunk at bowling. We're still sitting there twerking. We're still doing all the things. So it's like, what would make you think that you can do that and show up and do your job? But I can't do that and still show up and do my job in the same capacity unless I'm sitting there wasted, writing an offer or doing the thing.
I think it's the optics. It's because we're a brokerage that showcases a lot. We're out there a lot and we make sure. So I think that for us, because we photograph and we video and we showcase all of the things that we do for the most part, like it just looks a certain way. That's PR, that's optics, that's politics, that's business. So I think it's also equally important that if we showcase the professional things that we do too.
I do understand that. Do you think that it's prevented you from getting agents that maybe you would want on your team?
100%,
Okay.
100%,
Okay.
100%.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the other side of that too. Like I want agents to know that we we work just as hard as we play.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
and that's kind of like the culture. I want to make sure that every agent at Brickbill has that train of thought. And I want to make sure like I'm being as hands-on, and because I was loud and obnoxious in the beginning of this and I had to learn, and I just want to make sure that I give them, I build a bridge for them, that if they want to evolve and they want to play some leadership, they know how to round their edges, and I want to be that bridge. Now I can't force them to go over that bridge, but at least I want to make sure it's built for them, that if they learn like you can be both sides, you can have that balance and it's not unauthentic. So
Yeah.
because any agent that wants to be on on a leadership position, like on the board or on a state level or a national level, you have to know when to hone in the fun and the silly and the party. You have to. If you want, like, that's how you're going to gain respect, is when you know time and place. So that's also important. So I need to make sure any agent that has a design or an idea to do that, they also know that like it's going to require serious conversations from them too. So
Yeah. And also I suppose it would be a disservice to your agents if like it was all fun and games and part like if
yeah,
everybody saw
absolutely.
Brick Built in that way and I was just out here trying to be somebody that gets taken very seriously and works with a specific type of clientele, that could be a disservice to me.
100%.
So I do get that. I
100%.
do understand. Sometimes I just need to dig a little bit deeper to understand because my first thought is combative all the time.
100%. And mine is not. And that's also a problem with me, where I want everybody's opinions because I'm a people pleaser to a fault. Like before I make a decision, I want everybody's opinions, but I also have to know that like this is my brokerage, and I decisions I make are with thought and with intention and with good heart, and I just have to hope that the people that choose to be here know that and respect that and can see the growth in that. And I just have to make sure that that's showcased.
Yeah, because you kind
So,
of also have to have the same way that we're talking about our ideal client, like you kind of have to have this ideal agent that
yeah.
you speak to, that you align with, that you kind of know, that this is someone that I think is going to be a good
Yeah.
fit. So that's an interesting take on it.
I also like want to see people win. And so like if there I would feel like if I'm not helping agents grow, like obviously I can't force them, but if I'm not helping them and being a resource to them, like what good am I then? Like they could go get that same service elsewhere. Like I have to
Hmm.
make sure that I'm being a resource to their growth and their support to them. So I think it's just, it gets messy because there's a lot of, because sometimes when you change things or you make a shift, it can feel really messy to some people. So I just have to be, mindful of that.
That's understandable.
But I feel like you learn the most when things are messy. So you learn how to clean it up better. You learn better ways to clean it up. I don't know. You learn. I'm big on learn in the chaos and the messy and the bad. So
Well, that's what I think, that like every time we're in a messy season or something, like I personally feel like I come out of it a little bit better before. Whether it's like, okay, stronger boundaries, or like, oh, this fucking sucked. Let me make sure this never happens again. Like, how can I tweak
yeah,
that? So I think that like being in the mess of things is how you learn. And I struggle with that because I always want things to feel comfortable. I always
hmm
want things to go as planned. But anybody that I hear speak that's a very successful person is like, on the other side of the bad is when the good comes, like whether it's messy or just chaotic or stressful or whatever.
I made a comment to one of our agents because February has been a pretty rough month for her. And she was like, I'm just going through it. Everything's going wrong. And she was like, but all of the good is happening. There's a lot of good happening in that messy because you're elevating. And I also think that that comes like when you're growing, there's also messy as well too. So I just feel like, if you're in a messy season right now, like you're not crazy, you're not behind, you're not bad at this job. I mean, it stretches you thin, but like it's learn something in it, grow from that. Like if you're just like, fuck this shit and I'm done and I don't want to do this anymore and what the hell and all this, I'm victim, victim, victim. That's all I hear. Sorry, that's so mean, that's so direct. But like when I hear somebody whine and whine and whine and whine and whine, I'm just like, you're playing victim. Stop, step out of that. What can you learn from this? How did you grow? How can you serve your clients? How can you serve your industry? Like, what can you do better from that? Did you learn anything? And if you didn't, that's because all you thought about was yourself in that situation. And I know that's cold and that's hard, but like everybody goes through it and you just have to learn how to navigate that. But
Oh yeah, you're definitely entitled to that outrage and like flip the desk and do the things and kick the door, whatever. But I also know for certain it's like the exercise. If you look for something blue, you're going to find blue. If you're looking for something happy, something to be grateful for, you're going to be more mindful of those things. And same thing, if for me, I know when I get in those spaces where I'm really pissed off and I'm playing victim, then I just need the whole day to start over. Sometimes if
yeah,
I'm not conscious to like be like, okay, this is what I'm doing here. I need
yeah,
to put it aside now and find a
absolutely.
solution, because you just, it's a waste of time. It's a time waster. But I do also think that messy seasons need community, because you need someone to bounce
Mhm.
the ideas off of, and you need to find the right sounding boards that are not going to let you sit and wallow in that and validate everything that you say.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's going to be the strong arm.
I feel like every emotion, every feeling is valid, but like not every reaction to them is valid. And I feel like when you have a good community, that helps say like, hey, like I know it sucks. Like I get it. I totally understand. Let's get through this together.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's figure out a solution together. Let's problem solve this together. Like I do agree. And also this job can be very stressful and you need a community to do it with them
I
or to do it
love
with
agent
you.
friends.
I
Love
know.
talking to agents. I love it
I do too.
because they're the ones who understand more than anything what you're
100%.
going through.
I agree. That's all we got for you. Make sure that you follow us on all of our social platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, because we have a surprise coming this week.
A surprise. Whoop whoop.
And if you're not following us, you're going to miss out. And I don't think you're going to want to. It's pretty fucking badass.
It's pretty cool.
Also, make sure you subscribe and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and newly Amazon Music to stay up to date with all of our episodes. And if you follow us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get alerted of all of our new videos.
Because now we have a pretty good backlog of stuff to listen to.
I know.
50 episodes worth.
51.
51 as of today. That's crazy. So also, we talked a lot about growing and improving yourself. And so Hustle Humbly is another podcast that you can A, listen to, but B, go to their website, do some shopping, look at some courses, and use code After Hours to get $100 off of said course. And also, we have an Amazon storefront that you don't want to miss out on because it's all of the things that we love, all of the things that we use on the daily, on the regular. And you might just want to see what's in there.
It's not going to hurt to go look. Just click on the link and look. And if you like something, buy it. It's boop. Buy now.
All of
Hit
our
that button.
favorite things.
I can't make hearts like that. We're making hearts like this.
I just saw somebody do it like this, and I thought it was so cool.
What is that? Your middle finger?
Yeah, 2 of your middle fingers down, and then you put these in a little swirly.
I don't
That's
like
pretty cool. Does it make your arm feel weird?
It makes my fingers feel weird.
That's cute, too.
I like that. All right. That's all we got for you. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.